Alright, it's recording time 8:35 and start recording. It's That American Life, I'm Jack Novak. Each week on our podcast, we have a theme. We bring you a number of stories on that theme that somehow address our American experience, or specifically, North American. Well, really just United States, white people in the United States. It's that white person from the United States life. And today for our show, we'd like to reach out to our studio audience for this podcast and ask if anyone would be willing to come down here and share an article that they read recently, perhaps in the New York Times or Harper's, or even BuzzFeed, that you found interesting or compelling in some way. Anybody found something interesting would be willing to come down and share us? Wow, we're really the appropriate audience for this podcast. Oh yes, come on down. Yes, please. Okay, go ahead, have a seat right over here. Very nice, hello. Oh man, how are you? Hope you didn't do that on your way down here. What's your name?
Sean.
Sean. Jack.
Nice to meet you.
And Sean, what did you read recently that you found really interesting?
So there's this article I was reading this morning, and San Francisco is actually using this new paint on its outdoor buildings, and it reflects urine.
It reflects.
It does. So like instead of the urine,
Like,
if someone is urinating on a wall, instead of going down onto the floor, it'll like reflect back on.
Wow. It bounces the urine. Back. Where does it go then?
To the person, which is the point.
Just soak up into your clothes and you walk off? Interesting. Okay. Was there anything particular about this article that you felt, I don't know, that particularly was interesting to you, or that, I don't know, you thought connected somehow to the larger issues addressing our world today?
Yeah, like you really shouldn't urinate in public. No?
Yeah. It's pretty incredible that people are still doing that.
Yeah.
Sean, have you ever publicly urinated? Of course not. Great. Neither have I. Okay. Thank you. Sean, actually, can you tell us how this happened? Just
Oh, I was
out of curiosity.
urinating on the wall.
You fell?
It just puddled down.
And you
Properly,
slipped.
and I slipped it.
Right. The truth comes out. Some good journalism. Sean, thank you very much.
The American City Experience.
All right, everybody. So we've got public urination bouncing off onto the urinators. Who has got some ideas?
I think it's a wider target hardening. You know how they're making it harder to do everything in the city, like you can't sleep on a bench anymore.
Yeah. Target hardening. I like that. So what else? What other targets are getting harder?
Benches, you
You
mentioned.
can't skateboard on anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Would you like to go and talk to some of the skateboarders and?
Explore some of the city's great target hardening.
Yeah.
You know, I have some experience, a personal experience that I had many years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, that sort of addresses that. I was walking through DuPont Circle and there was a gentleman just walking, peeing as he was walking. Just like out and peeing. And I remember it to this day.
So would you like to find him?
I want to find him.
Or would you like to try doing that yourself? Maybe both.
I don't want to put any limits on what the story is.
So, like the skateboarding story, what should we call that?
Something about grinding.
Yeah.
Grinder.
Grinder.
Grinder. Spell wrong.
Grinder with an R.
Great. Grinder. And what about your story about the pee man?
What about urine? I'm in.
do we have any other?
I think, I think it would be really interesting to break my own arm.
Oh.
I love, like, because, there's this thing of, like, you don't realize until it happens how much stuff you do with your hand.
And why study
There's
your
only
own?
one
Why
way.
study your own? That's gonna be like a kind of like exploration, like
That's
like study abroad.
Yeah.
Study abroad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great, that's what we should call it. Study
Abroad.
abroad and study abroad.
Study
Okay, so, and then what should we call our show?
It's about
It's about-
not being able to do things. in the
Yeah.
city.
Armed forces.
Armed forces.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
We go through our life these days not realizing just how dangerous the world is around us. We get used to the comfort of our routine, things like driving that we do all the time that are more dangerous than heroin. So today on our show, armed forces. Forces that you didn't maybe think could harm you, that are striking back. So, in our first act, our producer Stuart Walsh went out into the community of skateboarders to ask them just how life on the grind is getting harder than it was before. This is Act 1, Grinder.
I was on my way to return a library book. I know I look like a person who probably just owns books. So I was to visit a library, and out in front of the library is a large flat area in which I saw a interesting multicultural group of teen youths. And they were doing something. They were
It's called break skating.
it was called
It's a-
break skating.
It's a combo of breakdancing and skateboarding.
Skateboarding, you see, has evolved a lot since I once skateboarded in the late 1980s before entering my study abroad program, and then going on to grad school, and then my postdoc, and then working at a small publishing magazine. And so I hadn't learned all of this about break skateboarding, and I hadn't been keeping up on it. But luckily, I met an anthropologist
Sheila Nabson.
who was able to fill me in on the what's going on with break skateboarding and why it's happening.
Yeah, it's this thing, it's this new thing, and the kids are doing, it's actually a loophole in the law of San Francisco, where if you're breakdancing in public, totally okay.
You see, skateboarding has long since been banned in most of the country. Skateboarding is now a crime. The t-shirts are no longer true. Skateboarding is in fact a crime.
Yeah, so what happened was Miss Sheila came up to us in front of the library one day and she said, I need something to study. I'm going to invent this thing called break dance skateboarding. Kids, can you do it? I was like, sure, I got nothing to do.
Delinea Peterson, the 8th grader, MLK Middle School.
It's weird. Sheila's always around after school with her notebook, making us do weird things.
Just to interrupt the Stuart's story here just a moment, I just wanted to let you know, podcast listeners, that the following story will acknowledge the existence of sex. So, if you have, this may be a good opportunity to pause the podcast until you're sitting alone at home. Now back to Stuart's story.
After school, last Thursday, Sheila shows up with her researcher, Robbie, and she says, I'm gonna have sex. Can you watch me have sex while breakdance skateboarding kids? I was like, I don't know, Sheila. I'll try it. I have nothing to do.
At the University of San Francisco. They encourage us to do multilateral studies. That's a word for when you do more than one type of study at a time.
As a graduate of a multilateral program, I understood immediately the challenges of a multilateral interdisciplinary program.
Sorry to interrupt again. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. Stuart continued on his resume for another 15 minutes. So we're going to come right back in when he gets back to the person he was interviewing.
That was fascinating. Yeah, so I had to put in for my thesis paper, and they said break skating wasn't enough, so I brought in my friend Rodney, and we had sex in front of a bunch of kids in front of a lab. And we studied it.
Sounds like a perfectly reasonable thing.
Hi, yeah, I'm Rodney.
Rodney, a fellow graduate student and barista.
You know, the benefits at San Francisco Starbucks are amazing. To the point where I actually took it up as part of my multilateral study. And I was entrenched in being a barista when Sheila came in one day and said, I need someone to fuck while kids break skate. And I think I had the same question everyone did. What's break skate?
I just want to comment right now that Rodney is one of the handsomest graduate students I've ever seen.
Stuart, you flatter me. I do think it has caused an increase in tips at our Starbucks, which is something that I've been studying.
So Miss Sheila, she said, guys, I quantify this study with orgasms. I'm like, what's that, Miss Sheila? She's like, that is pleasure. How do you get pleasure from break skating? Kids, can you orgasm from break skating?
I was quite scandalized by what I was hearing, and I realized that I had to dig deeper into this. So I went to Craigslist, and I put out an ad saying that I was looking for a grinder.
Hi, are you looking for a grinder?
Yes,
Don't tell me your name. Do you have your own board, or do you want me to supply one?
Well, I just, it's just a matter of, I'm a podcaster, and I just wanted to grind a little bit, that's all.
That's really inappropriate for you to say to me, okay? How dare you think that I would do such a thing as go on a podcast?
I realize that in the end, when you're looking for young people who are skateboarding and watching sex acts in public, on public property, in a way, it's about life. And I feel like I've grown a lot and that I've really witnessed things that have really changed, and they're going to contribute a lot to my career as a grad student.
Stuart Walsh with Grindr. And since we first recorded that story in January, Stuart and an anonymous Grindr are happily engaged. I'm looking forward to their baby shower in a few months. On That American Life, we've all seen the harmless public urinator now and then. It is a harmless part of our society. But what happens when that public urinator turns around and steps full on into your path? Well, next up, our producer, Catherine Dedman, explores that instance in Urine, Hymen.
You know that job that you have like right after college, and how it like informs the way you see every job after that in a weird way? Well, my first job years and years and so long ago was working at Kramer Books, and afterwards in Japan. And I worked in the bookstore at Kramer Books. And, you know, I was a little girl. I mean, relatively, I was a little girl. And so, you know, working in the bookstore, there were a lot of people in there, a lot of people stalking people, and it was a meat market, and they were creepy. But even the weirder thing was just going out in DuPont Circle every day during the day. And I had this experience there that I've never forgotten. Ever.
What do you want? Wait, who are you? Wait, what is this now?
I've been, thank you for responding to the app.
Yeah, I
I
was
wasn't sure how to
just
find
screaming
you.
across the street and you said, get over here!
Yeah, I recognize you, and from, this was like 10 years, you probably don't even remember. You were walking through DuPont Circle, coming out on the north side of Connecticut Avenue, and you had your genitals out.
Oh, that was me.
You were,
Yeah.
and just like,
No, I remember.
I mean, you were.
I think I screamed at you, you must be named Kathy. I was young.
How did you know that? How did you, because that was the thing, it was like you, if you don't mind my saying, I mean, you were owning everything in that moment. You know, you were like walking and urinating at the same time and continuing to walk, and there were people around, and you just did it.
No, I like to multitask is what I did. I was in a strange place in my life, you know, I was named after DuPont Circle. Yeah, I'm DuPont.
DuPont, it is so, I mean, you have no idea. It is so nice.
What is this? What are you doing? What are you
This is a podcast that I'm doing. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed.
My pleasure.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you.
Oh.
And then I just cut to the chase because I've been waiting to see this man for 10 years, so I just out and said it.
I'll go on a date with you.
That wasn't going to be my question. How do you just freewheeling, freeball it out in the air of the day in front of people and just urinate? I mean, how do you do it?
I did this a lot.
How is it even possible? I don't want to give away too much information. I could not produce urine in front of strangers in a crowded traffic circle in the middle of the day.
It's a condition known as excessive urination.
Dr. Rhonda Kimmelman was a specialist actually based in DuPont. Thank you, Dr. Rhonda. It's a condition known as
excessive urination.
Excessive urination. Okay, so it's not just the amount of urine, it's like when and where
It's
you
the frequency
Okay.
and the amount.
Is there like a psychological component to this?
There is very much a psychological, it's entirely psychological. It lives in the hypothalamus and in the cervical spine. And when
Can I just I thought cervical, so that's just for women, right? Because do men have cervixes?
Yeah, I've got a really fucked up cervix.
And she introduced me to one of her clients who she said as long as he didn't give his name, it was fine. He wanted to be known as Sam, just Sam.
Yeah, I've suffered from excessive urination for 38 years.
Where do you most find yourself feeling the need to urinate?
Everywhere.
So there's no trigger, or it's just all the
It's
time?
just all the time. It's
Okay.
just cafes.
Do you drink?
This is Kate Symes in for Jack Novak. I want to pause the podcast for a moment in case you have any teenage children in the car. They may get aroused at the next section of dialogue. So, fair warning.
Well, I used to work as an accountant. Then when I started to have this problem, they couldn't keep me in the firm anymore. It was disgraceful. So
What did
I
they
found
do?
a new living for myself on Craigslist. People, it turns out, will pay you to come to their homes and to urinate on them.
I was flabbergasted. He said this is called a golden shower of opportunity. So I had to know more. So I went on Craigslist and I found a gold job opportunity giver opportunist. Thank you so much.
I post every day. I wake up, I look for trips on Julia that I'll never take. And then I go on Craigslist, and I post, just waiting for an extreme yearning.
Well, so you were with him. Didn't you find the experience kind of,
Erotic,
yes,
delightful,
yes,
life
that's right.
like a super
Absolutely.
bedroom on the body,
Yes.
yes.
How do you go back to a normal life after witnessing that kind of urinary prowess?
Fountains look different. That's for sure.
I'm sorry, what looks different?
Fountains.
And that was when it hit me, right? Because there's a fountain in DuPont.
Excuse me, I just came to this podcasting studio because someone said they needed to be urinated on right now.
That was me, sorry.
Oh.
Oh, that was me too.
Oh my gosh.
Back off, bitch.
And so that was when I learned people are really particular about who and when they get urinated on. They're not all like DuPont, who can just do it anywhere at will. He was a marvel. There's no one like him.
You know what I think it really comes down to?
What?
It could be for sexual pleasure. It could be for fun. It could be for anger. I don't know.
Anger?
But the one thing it's really about,
What is it? What's the one thing?
freedom.
I was Captain Devin. You're in. I'm in. First talk with DuPont back in May. They are now happily engaged. Looking forward to their wedding in Cabo. It's November. For our last story on today's podcast, Act 3, Study of Broad's Hand. Our producer, Kate Symes, actually broke her own hand to see what effects it might have on her daily life. Here's our producer, Kate Symes.
Writing. Doing hand jobs. Waving to a friend. All these things we take for granted every day. For the last 3 weeks, I've been living without the functionality of my right hand. And I gotta tell you, it's been a wild ride. So I want to take you back to the beginning of this, back to the idea I had, and actually started in the 4th grade when my friend Joan Chaney said,
I bet you can't break as many bones as I can. I've broken both my legs, Kate.
Joan had what we called bird's disease.
It's not a disease, I'm special.
Her parents told her she was special, but really it was a serious disease. So Joan broke a bone about every week. And you know, we're kids, so we're making fun of her like, Joan can't walk.
Kids, you need to be more sensitive to Joan and her bird's disease condition, okay? When she comes back in this classroom, I want all of you to tap her lightly like the fragile little pigeon she is. Okay? All of you. Kate, especially.
I tapped her that day.
I broke both my collarbones.
And that was when I first realized, it was that moment, that specific moment in time that I thought, you know what I'm gonna do? Eventually, I'm gonna be on a podcast and I'm gonna break my own arm so that I can learn what it feels like to be Joan Chaney in this moment right now. But I had to go deeper, because the thing is, it starts with Joan, it doesn't end there. So of course, I had to call up my good friend, Rita Hayworth.
Hello, Kate, honey.
Rita's a lot older than me. But that's why we're friends. Rita knows things. She's been places. She used to be a Vegas dancer. So Rita, tell me, here's the thing, I know you work with a lot of people who do a lot of weird
A
things.
lot of hand jobs.
A lot of hand jobs.
Yes,
You're pretty much in the capital of hand jobs
I am.
in Las Vegas.
Yes, what happens in Vegas stays in your hand job. So, Kate, honey, I want to go for sushi with you this week.
Rita took me to sushi, and it was the creepiest dinner date I've ever had. Rita proceeded to eat the sushi without using her hands.
Kate, this is the only way to do it. You don't need hands. Hands aren't necessary. Okay?
And for the viewer, I just want to give you a little context about Rita. Rita looks like a man who's about 6'4", 250, very short hair, and beard, in fact. So here we are on this dinner date, and I'll just try to describe it for you a little bit. Rita's slapping at people, eating off of my lap, and eventually we got kicked out of the restaurant.
What I love about our friendship, Katie Peach, baby
She
girl,
calls me Katie Peach, baby girl.
I love how your wrists move.
So there it was, that moment when a friend tells you, I love how your wrists move, and you just think to yourself, what else could I do but challenge that? Are you gonna love me without wrists?
That's what I asked.
That was,
Because as Kate's life partner, I realized that, you know, it was like hand jobs were a really important part of our relationship. Maybe it's all, you know, it's all other these days. It's no old fashioned.
Travis and I met in college, and yeah, a hand job is the first thing that I did to him.
A hand job is the key to a great marriage.
That's my therapist.
I tell you and Kate, come here. Mwah.
Oh God.
Mwah.
I'll give you a little context around Jerome. He kisses me a lot. I can't afford another therapist.
When are you gonna leave, Michael? Oh, that's my advice.
And mainly in my sessions with Jerome, we talk a lot about me leaving Michael. When am I going to give him a hand job? I mean, this is a podcaster's salary, okay? Obamacare, am I right?
I'm glad you called.
That's my mom.
Honey, I broke my hand when you were young.
So my mom likes to tell me this story about how she broke her hand when I was young. She sprained a pinky. Okay.
It was a full-on pinky break, undiagnosed.
And every year at Thanksgiving, she tells the story, and this is how it starts.
There I am, basting the turkey, minding my own business, okay?
We never had a turkey in my house.
Your dad wanted ham. He always wants ham. I said, we're having a turkey this year, Joe. We're having a goddamn turkey. You were crawling on the kitchen floor. I trip. My pinky hits right on the edge of the corner of the counter. I scream, my goodness, my pinky! Well, your father was lounging in his barca lounger.
I should pause here and let you know, my parents are divorced.
And he couldn't be bothered to leave the Detroit Lions for 3 minutes to see if I was okay.
I want to point something out here. When you hear my mom's inflection go up when she says Detroit Lions, she's a big Lions fan. And that has a lot to do with this story as well.
I mean, I would have loved to be watching the Detroit Lions, but someone had to make a turkey.
It's a clean break, sweetie. Best wrist break I've ever seen. You really did a good job on this one.
This is my general
Orthopedic.
orthopedist. It's a general orthopedist because, again, I have shitty health care.
It's fascinating. By the way, I didn't ask when you came in. How did you do it?
I I gave a hand job until my hand broke. So
Works
here's
every
the thing. I went through this crazy journey, crazy journey that we call life with a broken hand. And I learned something that I don't think I could have learned in any other way. And that is that the Detroit Lions are what destroyed my parents' marriage.
That's Kate Simons. Kate and her therapist are now happily married. Well, our show today was produced by Catherine Dedman, Dennis Johnson, Jackie Felice, Kate Symes, Ryan Kroll, and Stuart Walsh. I'm your host, Jack Novak. We also have our in absentia producers, Caroline Pettit, who is wrestling alligators, Jules Duffy and Jamie Lanzman, who are collectively raising a new tiger cub, and Justice Hammond, who had a pain gig tonight. Thanks to Sean for sharing his story with us today. Thanks to Dan Miller for music that we didn't get permission to play. The Commonwealth director is Michael Johnson. WIT's artistic director is Mark Chalfant, who calls me up every Tuesday and says,
I need someone to fuck while kids break skate.
thank you very much for listening. It's Ed American Life. We'll see you next week.
Okay, guys, thank you so